Hey up! Well, welcome back to Shedlock 2000's Land Rover channel of very many interesting things. It's been a fair while, hasn't it? It must be months and months since I've had a chance to record your full-length sort of video, and my apologies really for not putting more material out, but it's been a very hectic time for lots of complicated reasons. I mean, last time I chatted with you, I think I'd just been stuck out in pass somewhere in some snow, and I think I mentioned to you I got some art drama. Welcome back to the channel. I'm struggling a bit and I'll explain why, but you'll all remember from a couple of months ago, actually probably longer than that now, but I was diagnosed with a heart condition, and every now and then it just goes a bit funny, and now happens to be one of those times. But right about that time I was starting to write my PhD thesis, which is a complicated affair as you might imagine, and so I wrote that, and with all PhD theses there are rounds bounced around. You send it to your supervisor for guidance on tweaking it, so it's a sort of an ongoing process for many months. But I also got some teaching up at Calgary University. He says pointing that way because that's where Calgary is, and so I was up at Calgary University teaching for a couple of months, but that was falling at the same time as my thesis, and teaching requires quite a lot of preparatory time and grading and all of that kind of nonsense, so that were busy, and I was busy with the thesis, and basically I spent about 20 hours a day for probably 6 months working on the thesis and teaching, and so there wasn't really very much time for furthing asleep and recording videos and at channel and out else really. It was a bit of a drain, to be honest, and then of course you'll have noticed just recently I posted some shorts from Scotland. Well, the reason we're in Scotland, that's another story. I'd been to a conference, an academic conference in Riga in Latvia, which were all very good. I'd been to a workshop and a conference, and I'd been presenting on me academic research there with a colleague and friend, and we got drama with the flights on the way back. We got caught in that air traffic control misery, and so we went to Edinburgh with a flight from Copenhagen, got stuck in Copenhagen, and then went to Edinburgh and had just a couple of days in Edinburgh to sort of de-escalate from my past experiences with the thesis and teaching and the conference and a lack of sleep and general misery, and I was able to rent a Land Rover and pootle about up there back in my own stomping ground. Hey up! I've come to Scotland and back home for a couple of days, and of course, well actually a week or so I've been off to a conference in Riga to do my actual work. But while I've come here, we've just come up to Scotland for a couple of days, and of course when you're back home there's got to drive a Land Rover, so this is where I've got it from 4x4 hire in Scotland. Thank you very much to Jack and Grant for letting me have this for a couple of days. I've had to pay for it, it's non-free, but any road travelling in style me odes. I used to go up Pitlochry and Inochdu and all that kind of area quite often, like regularly actually, almost every couple of months, and for a very long time when I drove truck I used to have a big job actually that ran sort of garden stone products, you know, like gravel and pea gravel and big rocks and fancy ornamented things, and when they were all super popular. And when I had a trucking company, I had a big contract running that stuff up to Penrith and Aberdeen and Inverness into some garden places, and then I used to run, bloody hell this is going back, so I used to run I don't know what they were called really, the big steel shutters that they use when they do bridge work and things on quays and things in rivers and docks and all that kind of thing. They slide and hammer these big steel interlocking steel things in water, and it stops the water coming in the hole, and then they drain the hole, and then they can bugger about and do whatever they've got to do in the hole. And I'm running those back out of Glasgow and a couple of Inverness. Any road I used to go up that way regularly and stop at a couple of truck stops, and well, one truck stop, and spent a lot of time up near Pitlochry and up on A9 and all that kind of area, so it's all stomping ground. Any road, I'd rented this car off my man. Thank you very much for sorting me out. And that's shout out to 4x4 hire in Edinburgh. Actually, it worked out very well. Grant helped me out, but he done her own the company. The 4x4 hire come and meet you at the airport for a small charge and drop Land Rover off with you, and then you can have Land Rover as long as you book it, and then you agree to drop it back. So we rented off them. I had originally rented a 110 off them, but unfortunately it all went a bit south because of communication delay between Riga and Edinburgh, and me being in conference, and then of course we had this drama with air traffic control where we got stuck in Copenhagen, so weren't able to pick it up on correct date, and we completely missed the Aberdonian, the Tornadoes trip, the Aberdonian, the steam locomotive that I was planning to go on, and we missed that altogether because that were cancelled. And any road, 4x4 I looked after me, and they squeezed all rental into a day, and they come and pick it up early, and it was all a bit of any road. So my thanks to those guys for looking after me and giving me a bit of a Land Rover. I had to pay for it. It weren't a freebie. It weren't like I'm recommending them for reference in the channel, and thanks very much for lending me a Land Rover. They didn't do that. I had to pay for it, and they can be quite pricey. One thing I should mention to you, and I don't actually mention it, you'll have seen shorts, but if you are thinking of renting a Land Rover up in Edinburgh when you're over on a bit of a tour, and I do recommend you do, there's a short video that I've got that'll tell you why. But one of the things you might want to remember is that those older Defenders with whatever it is, transit engine in them, and then Pumas, and I think this probably applies to TD5 as well, but Edinburgh and Glasgow are going into one of those pollution-free zones very shortly, and you're not going to be able to take them in. So if you do go over and you are thinking of renting, one of them vehicles off of 4x4 hire, and I do recommend you do, because it's the best way to see Scotland in my opinion, you might have to pay a little bit more and get one at new Defenders instead of one at old Defenders, unless you just go and poodle about the countryside. And the reason for that is because you're not going to be able to drive them. I mean, you already can't really drive it into Edinburgh because of course it's all bus lanes and all blocked off, but you won't be able to drive into much of Glasgow or Edinburgh because of these pollution free zones, so you might just have to pick one at newer engines, which is I guess plated for that kind of thing, a sticker or whatever it is you've got to say. Any road, that's the story with that. So thank you very much for looking after me and letting me tootle about it was a grand 130 really, but I say but, there's no buts about it. I'm only going to say that my opinion of the transit engine is not a good one, all that 6-speed. I didn't really like it. The 5-speed next to TD5 is a much better combination. Any road, I've got a bunch of upcoming videos, and because I haven't had a chance to record anything for quite some time, and that's sort of all on me really, because I've been busy, but I have got a couple of things planned. My pal's got the seals on the back of this window on outside, and they're in a box there. Look, I've got to replace those, so I've got that coming up, and I have got another thing somewhere over there to show you how to replace the gas strut on the cubby box lid. And I've got a big video coming up, well not a big video coming up, but I've got a collaborative video coming up with a pal of mine called Cameron Wood. Shout out to Cameron, top banana Cameron is anyway. Cameron and I bumped into each other when I were over burying my dad in March, and he's got a Series 3, a short wheelbase Series 3, which is in a very nice condition really, and he's pootled about with it, him and his father, and they've done a champion job of it, and it's a lovely thing. In fact, I'll insert some photographs here so you can see what I'm talking about. But very nice Land Rover. Anyway, Cameron's a top banana. Cameron is sharp as a tack, and we've been trying to collaborate on this bit of an upcoming video, and he wanted to do it a couple of months ago, and I couldn't because of my obligations with the thesis, and I'm sort of ready and free to do it now, but Cameron's got himself some studying and some coursework to do for part of his position as a he runs a safari, he's director of a safari company in Kenya, believe it or not. I am going to take him up on his offer at some stage to go out there. Anyway, today's challenge is to what I've got on today is you can see here this tailgate hasn't got there's a gas strut option for these tailgates, and I don't actually know why it's not fitted to this. I'm a bit confused by all of that, but anyway, this affair here, which is your check strap, which allows you to sit on the thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but my last Range Rover and many of them have got a sort of an affair here where you sort of drop the tailgate and there's a little gas strut, so it doesn't do that. Any road, what I've got now is I've got all the bits for to do this, and I'm going to show you how to do it. You can buy all the bits, and I've got all part numbers and everything, and you can follow me as we do it. Right, as you can see, this strap here, that's the same on the other side. This, as I've shown you, stops the supports the tailgate where you're to sit on it. But the device that you buy, and it has this part number here, which I'll share with you. But LR02105, LR0 or LRO, no, LR021053. That's this bit here, and this bit is the I guess this is the bracket that holds the gas strut, and then you've got another cable here. So this is your replacement cable, and this part number is LR038048, and this cable, this replacement cable, this is shorter than the other one, and it's got this affair here, which is for your other half of your gas strut, if you see what I mean. This bit here is the bit that the other half of the gas strut fastens to, and you haven't got this bit on there, so you have to replace this. And then you've got the gas strut itself, and this one is LRO17455, LRO17455, and that's this little gas strut. It doesn't really do very much, to be honest, but it just enough to let you sort of drop the tailgate. And you need to get a couple of these screws. These are M6 screws. I guess they're M6 by an inch or something. I haven't just looked. They've got a Torx fitting in them. These didn't come with a Land Rover part number, but I guess they have one. Now I'm going to fit one of these chaps, which is a riv nut. What I call a riv nut. I don't know what everybody else calls them, but they're sort of like a pop rivet version of a screw thing. And I'll show you how you fit them, but basically they're a way of getting a thread into something that doesn't have a thread. Now I guess there are other ways you could go about fitting this. I don't know what they would be, but there are other ways, I suppose. You can't get your hand in the, well, not that I'm aware of, you can't get your hand in the back without taking all this lot off, and even if you did, I don't know what's behind here, it might be quite difficult to get at the back to put a nut on it. Anyway, this is basically what it says it is. It's a rivetable, insertable, screw threaded thingy-majig, and it allows you to screw something to a thing where there's no thread. So I'm going to use one of these. Now you might say, well, Firthy, I don't have one of those tools, and they must be very expensive, but the actual tool, including all the bits and bobs, I'll show you the thing. This is the thing. It's a bit of a, well, it looks exactly what it looks like. It's a big riveting thing, like a big pop rivet gun. Anyway, this thing, including all the insert, cost me $27 off Amazon. So it was about half the price of the thing for the back. So if you do want to fit one of these, and to be honest, I since I've had this car, I have missed it because I'm in and out with Jip every day, and sort of I do open the tailgate, and I have got in the hand of holding it just so it didn't jar on the things, but every now and then you can't really do that. And when I go to work, of course, when I do my job, I'm loading all manner of stuff in there, and it was the same when I replaced this tailgate upper strut. I bought the Firthy's top tip: don't buy non-OEM things. This is a thing that I've been saying for years and years and years. and I don't know why. I must have been, either I didn't give very clear instructions or I just didn't ask the question, but I've said to my guy at Land Rover, just send me 2 top tailgate struts, which he did. Drink cabinet over there, 2 top tailgate struts, which he did, and I fitted them. And you'll see when I let go of this, it just does its nice thing on its own. Anyway, when I fitted these struts, it basically did this. It flirted up. I mean, it was gas up, but there was no decompression at the top, so it just flung up and it jarred and rocked, and didn't like that at all. So I took them off again, and I asked my guy, I said, what did you send me? He said, well, I sent you these upper struts. I said, well, are they OEM? Oh no, he said, they're more expensive, but you can see that they're a far better thing, because they're gas decompressed on the way up, so you can literally let go of the tailgate and it'll creep up nice and steady, so there won't be a big jar. OEM stuff all the time. Anyway, why did he get onto that? Anyway, and so you can buy them, they're not lots of money. And that's the kit, and now we're going to take this off and fit that, I suppose. So this is where you need to put the to mark the thing, and you can mark the thing. I do have a scribe somewhere. When I was an engineer back in the day, an awfully long time ago, I used to have all this fancy sort of tackle. All you've got to do is mark where you want to drill the hole, because you do need to drill 2 holes, you see. Now it'll do anywhere here, and it sort of just fits nicely into place. I'm going to put a little piece of rubber underneath here, because I don't want the metal rubbing on the metal, and I strongly suspect that won't be everybody's preference, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to mark the middle of the hole here by, I suppose you could just, I mean, if you wanted to, you could use a marker or something, couldn't you? But anyway, this is what I'm going to use. He says, perhaps I'm not going to use it because this is a bit hard to mark. There we go. That's not really in the middle there, Firthy, just so you know. Right, so I've marked that with this, and then you need to drill out to match the riv nut size. My memory's failing me fast. I remembered what my punch from Merlee's looked like, a sort of a machine tooled fair with a knurled part here and a black square bit on the top, so you could hold it with a wrench, a square section, and that was what I was looking for. But of course that might or might not have been 20 something years ago, and what I actually have is this. So make of that what you will. Firthy's old memory's gone a bit. 10100. Now all this is for is just to stop the drill wobbling about, the drill bit, so that you can be sure of a good position for your drill. Now the instructions on my little riv nut tool give you the actual sizes here for the riv nut part of this, which is here. I'll show you that. So this is the riv nut bit, and you can see that this bit is the bit that needs to go into the hole. So that's the dimension. I mean, you could measure it, I suppose, if you've got a set of calipers or something, but I'm just going to use this handy dandy tool because they've written it in here. So this is an M6 riv nut, and the hole diameter is 9 to 9.5 it says here, so we'll go with 9 for a start and see how we get on. Now obviously it's only a bit of aluminium, and so aluminium would drill straight through with that, but it'd be a bit hardcore to drill that, so we're just going to pilot it with something significantly small. And I'm going to start with I don't know what size this is. I'll just pick something that looks right, 13/64 for those of you that believe that it matters. There we go, triangular hole. Now this is going to be a bit challenging because I don't want to mark me bumper. nicer old 30. Now, before we crack on and make that a mess that we can't recover from, I'm just going to make sure that this is exactly what it says it is. That does say just under 9mm, and this says just under 9mm. Slightly bigger, but that'll do. There we go. Now about this time Jib's going to go nuts because he likes the vacuum cleaner. Stay. 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 No. He is a funny dog. Scared to death of the hairdryer but loves the vacuum cleaner. Can't make it up, can you? Anyway, so here's the tool. Look, this is the riv nut, and basically they just pop in here, but you've got to put them on this machine first. And so you open this up all the way, and there's a little gauge on my tool, but you don't really need it. And that just tells you how much you're going to squeeze this up. And once you've got it in, obviously the more you squeeze it, the more and then you just pop it in the hole and squeeze. If you want to give it a bit more, you can just turn it in with that and it'll give you a bit more. But you don't want to over squeeze these, because unlike a pop rivet gun, it won't break off, it'll just squash the thread, so you can never use them. And I'm afraid it's a bit of a sort of a hand feel affair. It's either good or it's bad. Now at this point I'm going to take this check strap off here.
These are just 13mm, 13mm chaps.
Now I can tell you that some of the folks in the UK have told me that these can be a bit of a bear, because the top one here often gets rusted, and I can't just tell you anything about that, because well, you can see I don't live in Alberta, where we don't have rain or any sort of precipitation really, and so all ours are pretty good. But you might struggle here if this is if you live in one of those moist places of the world. This might be a bit of a problem. Anyway, I'll just get rid of that for the time being. Right, and now we need another little rib nut chap. They come when you buy the kits. This little thing, I've got several types of these. I have one that looks a lot like a pop rivet gun, but that wasn't very good, and I bought this one because I actually lost the little ends, the threads that you screw in. You have to change them obviously for each size of riv nut that you use, and somewhere along the line I lost one. But anyway, it comes with a kit with like a bunch of these in it, and you can use as, you know, after you've used them up, I suppose you've got to buy a new one. But anyway, there you go. Now this is going to be challenging, Firthy. Good lad, Jim. You hold those things for me. Good lad. And I suppose it's at this time when you realise that the power of the little riven up machine. Now because I don't get a very good throw in this position, I'm winding it in repeatedly so I can get a better purchase on it and squeeze it up to its full capacity, like that. So when you're screwing these things in, basically, it says M5, M6 in here. If you can't open this fully, like this, and you can only get it to that far, obviously the amount you're squeezing it up is going to be less. But what happens with this end screw is that if you squeeze it up this far, and then you squeeze it together, and then as you open it up slightly, take the pressure off, you can squeeze it up a bit more and then squeeze it up and then squeeze it up a bit more, if that makes sense. And that's what I did with that hole. One of the benefits of that pop rivet style, of course, is that you don't need to be able to open it all fully. You can just do it like this, if you see what I mean. So in that respect, it's better for tighter places. But like I said, I did throw it away because I'd lost all the ends. Anyway, that's that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get a piece of now this is this foam that I used, if you remember right, I got it from Amazon, but this is the foam that I used for the feet of the roof rack that I made. And so I'm just going to cut out a piece that'll do this bit here. Now there's two ways to do this, of course. You could fasten this stuff to the bracket, or you could fasten this stuff to the tailgate, and given that I'm sort of doing this on the fly, I'm going to fasten it to the tailgate. Now, as with anything, really, 30? And I'm using brake clean because brake cleaner doesn't leave a residue. I don't know why I put that bottle away and then brought the rag back. Now this is only very rough, of course, but it's only here for squish. And to take up these rib nuts, when you put the rib nuts in, they have a little lip. Can I show you? Here we are. Yeah, they have a little lip, so when you put the rib nuts in, you'll actually find that this bracket, wherever it's gone, this bracket is going to sit on this riv nut lip, and this other squishy stuff here is also just to take up sort of the space to help this sit a little better. And you'll see now it sits, it's happier there, isn't it? Now I've got one screw and another screw. They didn't give me a part number for these screws, but they're just M6 and about 1 inch long, I would say. I'll actually measure them for you, just in case you ever so slightly under 1 inch. I don't know why they'd be ever so slightly under 1 inch, but they are. And then a 1 inch one would be fine, but these are ever so slightly under 1 inch for some reason or other. And then we can just okay, that's spot on, but I am going to need a washer for that. Right. That took way longer than it needed to do. I'm going to use an old school locking lock washer as well, because there's no no other way of locking this down. So you can't put all the pressure on the world in with them. And there we go. Throw these little bits away. And that's in. Now we can fit this other. Where's the strap gone? Firthy, come on. Here we are. Best to fit this one first because it's more awkward than the other one to get at. There we go. I don't suppose I could get that on there. No. I won't bugger that if you. Now this end one up here, if I can get it on properly, there's a hole in it. There you go. And the gas strut, which is here, put it this way, and then it stops it getting water in it. There we go. Okay, now I've tried to figure out what the problem was, why that wasn't, why this strut wasn't letting the thing down properly, and you can see now it is working. And the reason for that, and Firthy should have paid more attention, is that on this gas strut here, it says body and points up, and I'd put it the wrong way around. And the reason I thought it would be better the other way around is because the majority of the water would drip off of this and onto something that doesn't matter. But if it's turned round, all the water that collects here is going to go into the top of the gas strut here. So that's why I thought it'd be better the other way around. But you can see that it's doing its job now. But I'm still not terribly happy with it, because it shouldn't be doing that. So right at the bottom, so it is better, but it's not right. And I have a feeling that the reason for that, and I'm just going to show you here, he says, try and take this off without breaking his fingers again. The reason for that is because you shouldn't be able to do this. Can you see how, I think the seal's gone, so I think this is old stock. You shouldn't be able to do that with this. So I think this particular piece is a bit tired, very tired in fact, because you can hear it go, can't you, there? If I just, you can hear it go on that last bit, and you can see it's doing, you can see there it's doing now. So I think this is old stock, so I'm going to send this one back to Land Rover and say, give me a fresh one. But anyway, this is the sign that I'm talking about. It says body and points up, so it has got to go this way around. So while it might be the case that the other one goes round, while it might be the case that it would be better that way in terms of longevity and lack of rust, it's actually designed to go this way. So Firthy needs a new part, and the part number for that is LR017455. So I'm just going to send that back. I did get it directly from Land Rover, only OEM parts, and we'll see how we go. Right, so there you are. That's how you install the kit. I've got Best Computer out here because I'm reminded that I actually purchased the whole kit from eBay. You can of course buy the parts separately from Land Rover, but LRNJ Auto Parts actually sell the kit online on eBay, and that's where I got mine from. The kit was, well, it says here 212 US. But I have a feeling that's not what I paid for it. But anyway, that's what they want now, 212 US. And that includes, of course, the new Strut, the component, the part, and then the shock absorber and all of these other bits and bobs. And I have reached out to these guys because, as I think I've shown you, the strut is not gassing as much as it should do, and so it's probably either old stock or a faulty component, and so I've reached out to them to see if they'll replace it for me. and hopefully they will do, and I'll let you know if they do in the comments below. I am pretty certain that I paid, yeah, you see, I paid 130 US for it in December 2012. Sorry, December the 12th, 2012. That's how long it's taken me to get to this job. I bought it last year at Christmas. Anyway, so that's the part, that's the fit, and that's how you fit it and install it. And I hope that's been helpful to you. It's disappointing a bit, I suppose, that the first video I've come to record after quite some time didn't work quite as well as I wanted it to, but I guess you can only do what you can do, can't you, anyway? So hopefully you'll make sense of that, and hopefully you'll, if you fancy adding one of these things to your tailgate, that won't be so much of a problem for you. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe to the videos. I tend to throw that at the end rather than beginning, but hammering that like button and the subscribe button really helps me to keep in contact with you and to know what kinds of things that you're interested in me recording and all this kind of stuff. And you'll find in the comments of these videos that there's lots of helpful comments of folk in the community that have got useful feedback as well. So do please leave comments and I'll try and answer them, and other folk will get back to you as well. So and of course feel free to reach out and let me know if there's something that you want me to cover. A couple of people have done, and I have recorded videos on that, and so there we go. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Cheerio.